So welcome everybody. It's a warm welcome from us all, University of Gdańsk and CEU University of the Sea Alliance. We are here representing 6 universities with enormous and wonderful and sometimes less wonderful experiences with gender equality plans implementation. So we are University of Gdańsk, University of Cádiz, Spain, Université de Bretagne Occidentale in Brest, France, University of Kiel, Germany, University of Split, Croatia, University of Malta. And we have gathered here our amazing experts who are having different experiences implementing gender equality plans in academia. And our question to everybody is, what have we learned so far? So our goal is to allow our representatives of the CEU partner universities to share their knowledge, expertise with wider audience. And our discussion between experts will be, of course, followed by Q&A session with our panel's audience. Feel everybody that you are co-authoring this session, co-adding to this session. And just to mark a little element here that this panel is taking place on an important day in Poland. It's a National Education Day in Poland, and it's a great celebration because here we want to show, also organizing this event, that gender equality is an important goal for us all universities. We educate, and our teaching programs are also built upon fundamental values, one of which is equality, gender equality that we all want to reach. So we want to see how we are doing with this value today. We have with us experts on our GEPs, and CEU as Alliance has been working on the gender equality topic from the very beginning of our working together, and inclusion and equality are the main values of the European University of the Seas, so we want to promote them. So in a moment, we'll start our panel discussions with our experts. We have agreed that we'll have 4 questions that I will, together with Magda Rzadkowska, who will be our facilitator, will share with you. So I will also ask you to share a little expertise, but also tell one sentence about yourself. We have sent everybody your bios, and so you can see what the expertise we have. So let's have this goal of like reaching to the expertise of people who are here, exchange our knowledge, our experiences, because also in a way we are all on the same boat, because gender equality is an important goal for us all, and we want to implement really effective gender equality plans. If you are not speaking, please be muted. That's one of the rules of this meeting. You can in the same time use chat if you want to comment on what the experts are saying. If you want to ask a question, we'll both with Magda monitor this. So in terms of technicalities, that's it. Warm welcome to everybody. My name is Natasza Kosakowska-Berezecka. I'm a head of the Division of Cross-Cultural Psychology and Gender Psychology, and I'm involved in the CEU Identity Committee, and I will have the pleasure to facilitate this meeting together with a great colleague of mine, Dr. Magda Rzadkowska.
Hello, everyone. It's nice to be here. I'm Magdalena Rzadkowska. I'm sociologist dealing with family sociology and gender relations, and I'm involved in several projects on gender equality and doing GEPs, Mind the GEP project, Act on Gender project, and our university commission. So welcome everybody who co-work with me in those projects, and I'm really glad to meet new people and share good practices. So welcome everybody.
So we have diverse expertise here, so me social psychologist, Magda sociologist. Let's hear more from our experts. And we have a couple of questions that we want to share with you. And the first one is the following. We're asking about your experiences with gender equality plans. So when we think about gender equality plans, I'm trying to share my presentation, which is not working, but it doesn't matter. So the first question concerns your experiences with gender equality plans. When we think achievements within gender equality plans, implementation, or any gender equality initiative at your university, you are particularly proud of. or satisfied with. So something you accomplished and you're really proud of. And now the question will start alphabetically this time. We'll kind of also navigate and alternate the order of our discussions. One of the comments to our guests and speakers is that you could also, when referring to the questions, you can also answer and relate to other people's comments. So we'll start with University of Split and Croatia. So our first guest is Ivan Cavuzo.
Hello everyone. I'm very happy to see all my colleagues now and future colleagues in this very important issue for universities. I am a sociologist and I am associate professor at the Department of Sociology at the University of Split. My occupation with gender issues started from my master paper. It was about ecofeminism. And I continue with this interest, and I'm particularly very updated about gender mainstreaming public policies in Croatia, because I did several times expertise for European Union Commission concerning this issue in Croatia, and particularly related to labor market, women's in decision-making issues, reconciliation of private and professional life for women, and the issue of engaged paternity. That was a few topics that I am very updated concerning public policy. And also I'm now a member of the team who are preparing first gender equality plan for our university. And that's for me for this time, for today.
And then if you could already turn to the question, so what you are mostly proud of with when you talk about gender equality plans?
But concerning data presented within gender indicator report for this for our universities, and then we can say that there are always places and issues that could be more improved, and there are some challenges for improving, particularly for increasing women's participation in STEM, which means related also to students, particularly to women students, and about disparity in the representation on women within the highest management positions. Actually, it is slightly gap, not so much, but also it is generally structural problem of wider scale that is not only an area of university level of education. Then also the interesting issue and very challenge would be harmonization of personal life and professional obligations of our staff, teachers at university. And generally speaking, also one data is could be problematic, but it is also something that is the same at the national level, and it is related to that males declare less sick days than women, which means that that care for other in families and relatives is very important issue for the women in Croatia as general. That is something that I could select from this issue presented in this report, and is related for our university.
Thank you so much, Ivanka. In a way, you jumped to the second question, which is okay. So maybe we can also actually start with this one. So the question is about the report. In a moment, I will also paste the link to the report we have created. Delphine is here with us. We have collected data concerning gender balance within our 6 universities. The report is published since yesterday, so it's open online. So we will share with you in a second. And the question then to everybody, to our team, is the surprises, and Ivanka has mentioned one of her surprises about, for example, sick leave and men. Any other surprises in the group? And also remember to say this one sentence about yourself, about your work, and we'll travel from Croatia, we'll travel to Malta. And Joseanne, if you could start your input to this question. So the question now is about those surprises, about our gender balance report.
We had a number of surprises. I am Josen Kutayer. I am a professor within the Gender Studies and Sexualities Department at the University of Malta. I'm also the chair of the Gender Sexualities, Gender Equality and Sexualities Committee at the university. Together with the pro-rector who's here, Professor Carmen Samut, we're working on the first Gender Equality, Diversity and Inclusion Plan. We use these words because it seems when we mention gender, there's a lot of negative feedback from men who assume that gender, unfortunately, is only linked to women. They don't realize that a number of issues also address their needs within the university. So that is one of the issues we're facing at the moment. I'm sure that the pro-rector will say more. I was also part of the Gender Action Project, which brought together a number of entities around Europe to increase more women, especially within STEM. And this was a very successful project, and I learned a lot from that. What we have, which is positive, is I think that we have introduced an inclusive language guidelines at the university. And this strategy, which included a lot of issues, which are going to be incorporated within the Equality, Diversity and Inclusion Plan, which the pro-rector will speak about later on. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you, Suzanne. And Carmen, maybe you want to add, because we're still in Malta and the surprises on your side?
Actually, what I would like to add to what Josen has said, we've been collaborating. We're taking gender issues as part of an inclusive strategy for the university. And we're looking at 4 pillars. Gender and sexual diversity is one of them, but we're looking at equality from an intersectional point of view. So we're also taking disability, race and ethnicity, and socioeconomic groups. And we are in the process of working on an equality plan. It would be the first equality plan for our university. We had a number of initiatives along the years, but nothing was coordinated and nothing was audited. So we're here to learn, actually, from your experiences, which is why we are both here, because this is really topical for us. Well, something which I enjoyed working on in the past years was the updating of a sexual harassment policy. Josen was also involved in this, in the sense that the gender committee carried out research where about 700 respondents replied, and we had some surprises there, where men seemed to be more aware than women about the sexual harassment policy. That was one of the surprises. We also learned that we needed to campaign, and in the process we reviewed after a very long consultation process. Only about 2 weeks ago, we got this approved by Senate and Council. So now we will be working on a sensitization campaign in the coming weeks and months. So that is it, basically. I'm here to learn. My area, I'm pro-rector for Students and Staff Affairs, but I come from the Department of International Relations as an academic. And I also had the opportunity to chair a committee at a national level that looked into gender balance in Parliament. And the work of that committee led to constitutional changes, which will hopefully increase female participation in our House of Representatives after the coming election.
Thank you so much, Carmen. It's like amazing to listen when you're saying you're here to learn, and then you share your expertise of how many accomplishments you already have. So thank you so much for this. And we can travel from Malta to Cádiz in Spain. And Eva Bermudez, if you could share your surprises about gender report. So gender balance report is one of the important parts of diagnosis of gender equality plans. You are muted. The most famous quotation these days. You are muted.
Okay. Now, do you hear me? Yes.
Perfect.
Okay. Okay. First of all, thank you for your for the organization to this meeting, because I think we need lots of meetings in the university, among universities in this sense, talking about gender. Regarding the surprise of the quality plans, because I'm not sure if we are in the first question or in the next ones.
Ivan combined us. Actually, I think it's pretty logical. We could start with the second question about like our surprises from the gender equality reports. So we can start with this one,
Yes,
and then move to the pride.
Yes. Oh, okay. Then first, I'm going to say something about me. Yes, very, very short, very briefly. Sorry. I am interested in gender since I don't know, about 15 years ago. I started to study until when I made the master, and also I am very interested in trade unions and how women intervene in trade unions and how they are represented, because it's the main. I think it's the main issue for every improvement in women's everyday life related to work. So in this sense, I have been studying the position of women in administrations, and also in some trade unions, and the place in the labor movement. That's my main interest. But I have also participated here in the university in the campaign of research in the past year. In sexual harassment also, because we had a protocol and it needs to be improved. So we tried to make the main recommendations for the improving. And in this, related to the plans, to the data, it has caught my attention not very surprisingly, because we are more or less in the same way. The segregation is more or less a mirror than what you find in the marketplace, in the market, in the labor market. So it is not exactly surprising, but it has surprised me related to our data. Exactly in Cádiz. It's surprising that we have better data for women in the enrollment in IT, ICT. Okay, so I just wanted to make clarification that maybe it's true that we are 60% women in those kind of grades, but the degrees, sorry. But the real truth is that we have made some research on how they do insert in the labor market late, and women do not insert in the labor market in the same extent than men in ICT. I mean, they find their jobs in their professions, but women don't. They don't insert in the same proportion. Okay, so I don't remember exactly the figure, but it was about less than 20%. Okay, they are inserted in the labor market. But
thank you so much.
Surprising.
I think it's a very important result, because in a way we are doing pretty well on the level of education, but then there's something going on when they enter the labor market, right? So I think it's important to in terms of gender equality plans, to maybe look further. We do something within academia, but maybe our hands should be longer to reach also what happens with women in the labor market. So thank you very much for this. Well, from Spain, we'll move to Poland, and Ewa Łykowska, if you could join this discussion with our surprises about our gender balance report in University of Gdańsk. And you're muted.
Good afternoon. My name is Ewa Łykowska, and I have a little bit of a very different experience than all of you. By education, I am plant biotechnologist, and I am head of the Department of Plant Protection and Biotechnology. But from the few years I am involved in responsible science, I was involved in a project, STARBIOS, Structural Transformation to Attain Bioresponsible Science, that we have at our university. And currently I am involved in the GEP project, then the issue that is connected with gender equality. And I am also a head of the Commission for Social Responsibility of the University of Gdańsk. And this is the reason that I join you here for this discussion. And well, according to the biggest prize, I think the most impressive and most surprising for me was that women are majority when we look on the people that are taking advantage of the mobility. There are more women than men are taking this opportunity. This was my first surprise. And the second surprise, also giving some information about the activities of women and men, is that women are much more often improve their qualification by extra courses. It's also quite evident from these reports. And the third thing is the survey results show that at all of the universities, not only at our university, but of course at our university is clear, a very small percentage of men are taking a parental leave. This is like, I don't know why, 1 to 5% of men that are taking parental leave. However, we have a special law at our country, and of course, this is possible, but men are just not taking this possibility. I think these are my surprise from this report. However, well, the last one is not surprise because we are familiar with this fact. According to our university, I should say that we begin this work connected with gender equality by the preparation of a special report. And I believe this was the first report in Poland speaking about women in science. And we were looking on gender equality at the university. And from this report that we have for our university, we can conclude that women are more successful in grant application than men. But on the other side, men have a project, the project managers for the grants, for the project with the higher financial outlines. It's always happened like this. And also, we tried to analyze the salaries of women and men. And it was also surprising because we found that there are not such a big differences at our university on the level of assistants, adjuncts, and associate professors. The biggest differences in the salary between men and women at our university is on the level of professors, full professors. And this was really our surprise. And I am very interested if you have the similar situation at other universities that are in this CU Alliance.
Thank you, Eva.
Thank you very much.
Sorry, just to direct your attention to chat, everybody, if you have any reports or materials you want to share with everybody here, feel free to do so. We'll make sure it's going to be distributed among all our participants. We are sharing some of the reports, but feel free to share yours as well. We are traveling fast with a speed of light from Poland to France, and we have Patricia Meissing-Javier with us. If you could share your surprises about gender balance report in your University of Brest.
Thank you, Natasha. Hello, everybody. So I'm Patricia Marzin from Brest, France. I am also a biologist. I'm specialist in biology education. I'm teaching in a teacher training institute in Brest here in France. And I am a reference person, of course, at UBO for gender equality. And I also at the end of a research laboratory. I am the head of the CREAD laboratory, which is research center on education, learning, and didactics. What is surprising me most in the plan in the report was in fact the coherence and the homogeneity of the results between our universities, because I think we have the same situation. There are some little differences, but in fact, we can say that there are lots of homogeneity between the data in each institute. For staff, some data are positive, like the rate of women applying for jobs in our university in Brest. So this is a good news. And in Brest too, the governing boards tend to equality, in fact, and I think it's quite the same in your institution. It's not total equality, but it tends to become equal. We also observe some positive evolution in France, in Brest, as a greater parity on the receipt of bonuses for women, for example. But in France, in UBO, we have an equality plan since 2012. So it is since about 10 years that there is a special policies to involve equality in the policy of the university.
Thank you so much, Patricia. And now it's time for Germany and Iris Werner. Welcome.
Yes, thank you very much. My name is Iris Werner. I'm the Central Equal Opportunities or Gender Equality Commissioner of Kiel University in Germany. And in Germany, we have gender equality plans in our university for a very long time already. And this is an obligate issue we have to have by law. So we have to have a new one every 4 years, and it's really obligate part of the whole legal procedures, how universities get their funding and everything. So it's quite settled, the issue of making gender equality plans, implementing them, and so on. I'm by training also a biologist, like two others here. I'm a marine biologist. I have been working in polar ecology for more than 20 years, and then I switched to the more science management, and now I'm working in this gender equality, which is a full-time job here at Kiel University. And I guess the combination of the two of my lives is why I have been sent into the CEU project, what I really enjoy very much. I have been in an Horizon 2020 gender equality project before, Baltic Gender. I've been PI there. This was project was dealing with the gender equality plans in marine research institutions around the Baltic Sea. A very nice project, and I'm very happy to be here as well. So what has surprised me most in looking at the data which have been compiled, I really like them. I was also very much like Eva, surprised to see that regarding the mobility, the females, the women are in most cases are more mobile than the men, because here, especially in Germany, it's always said that where the females are not as mobile as they should be for a scientific career. Most of you would know that it's very important for your reputation that you are mobile and have spent time abroad and this and that and this and that. So that was very nice to see, but looking at the data in more detail really showed me for the data of Kiel University that this is only the case for the students and for mobility regarding training, and mobility regarding teaching, which is again with more reputation and probably more funding than the men, again are more mobile than the women. And this for me is a very, very helpful hint for the next gender equality plan, that we have to develop some measures how to support also female teachers to go abroad for teaching issues. So I guess that's a very, very good point. And yeah, thank you very much for the data.
Thank you so much. Now we'll move to the second or first question. which is, I think, related to what just Iris said. So what we have accomplished. So in a way, you said that gender equality plans in Kiel are very well established, and they're just, you know, sine qua non condition for functioning of a academic institution. And you were mentioning it's like it has been developed. So the question is to everybody, and here you can, we don't have an order, simply whoever wants to start, please start. We call it heart attack method, for example. So for example, Patricia can start and then she can pick another person, or you can simply start whoever wants. So the question is, when you think about your experience with implementing gender equality plans, any actions that are fostering gender equality, what are the actions or steps taken you are especially proud with and you think they're really important? And one of ours will be linked to involving our rectors in all our activities. And I see Krzysztof Bielawski, who is our Vice Rector for Science, is present here. I think one of the things that was really helpful was involving you, being really involved, engaged gender equality advocator. So what are your accomplishments, successes? Whoever wants to start, starts. Iris.
Yeah, I think I should use the time and just start here. Yes, I think the measure I'm most proud of is really our mentoring programs for female postdoctoral researchers, which I also have already shown in the booklet of the gender initiatives. And connecting this measure to the gender equality plans is really that we had this measure as a vision in our gender equality plan in the year 2008, a vision and a wish and an aim to have such a project. And 10 years later, we really have it as a permanent structure. And in the years between, we had it as a project. And it has always been developed and further developed and has been funded by the federal state in the meantime, and now at the end it has been funded and made a permanent structure by the university. And I think this is really a success story, and we always had it as a very firm point in our gender equality plan, saying the postdoctoral phase is the most important phase where women would leave or stay in the academic world. So we have to have a very, very good measure for this phase. We have loads of female students and also doctoral students is okay. But after the doctorate, many women leave academia, and we have to get them stay as long as they like and as long as they are qualified and engaged and talented. So, and this was always a very, very big aim in the gender equality plan. And so we got the mentoring programs yes, sustainably anchored in our university structures. And this is something I'm really very proud of.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I also think that actually detecting the right moment is also important here as well. Thank you so much. We'll wait 3 seconds before somebody will raise hand. If not, we'll kind of pick. Eva, thanks.
Okay, I should say that we have not such a long experience, because in Poland it just last year when we begin to establish gender equality plans at our universities. And according to my knowledge, there are only 1 or 2 universities in Poland that have already gender equality plan. Then we have to begin from the beginning, and I'm really proud that after work of the Commission for Social Responsibility of the University, our rector established at the university, upon the request of the Commission, the Ombudsman for Equal Treatment and Mobbing Prevention. This is very important, and we have the real office for this only from February 2021, then only a few months. Earlier there was an office, but I think it was not working efficiently, and now I hope it will be much more efficient person, and we really know that the persons that are the ombudsman are really very talented and will be really involved. And this, I think, is our first achievements.
Thank you so much, Eva. Yeah. Yes, Patricia, thank you. And then Eva. You're muted.
Okay. Sorry. In fact, I am so proud to hold the All Equality Plan, because I think it's an honor for me. In fact, I participate at the end of the writing plan, because I get equality mission only this year in January, so it's very new for me. But I propose one action, so in what I am especially proud. This action is a women training program called Dare for Women. This program, which is an adaptation to the English Springboard program, perhaps you know this program. And a woman adapts the Springboard program to the French context. And this year, 2 groups of 12 women, academics and non-academics, will participate to this program with the aim of boosting women's careers by working on certain obstacles like self-censorship, lack of self-confidence, or self-esteem, and by using the valuable leverage of women's network and sisterhood. So I have a lot of hope on this program, and I'm so proud to propose this program to my colleagues at Brest.
Thank you so much. I was especially triggered by this issue of self-censorship, that sometimes women are not even taking the voice to utter their opinions and be more present. Thank you so much. And Eva was raising your hand. You're muted. Muted. You have to unmute. Still muted? We can hear you. We can hear you. Nope. It's okay. It worked before, so probably you have the same button than this before, just to unmute yourself. It's on the top screen, I guess, that you can unmute yourself. You just click the mic and it's like, okay. So in the meantime, you can try maybe, and then we can ask maybe Josanne, and then Eva, in the meantime, you can try, and I will try to help. And Krzysztof, you could also try to help Eva on chat maybe with the mics. Josanne, could you add yours? Your pride?
Can I add some of my take on the things we were doing anyway? Let me see. We were speaking about total staff. I think this was very interesting for me, that the majority of the staff at university were all male, except for UG. The majority of support staff are also females in all universities. And what really interested me is that support staff play a secondary role to academic staff, and we accept that they are paid less than academics. But interestingly enough, male support staff have better wages with regards to female support staff, which means that the men are going up the glass escalator at a faster rate than their female counterparts. That was one of the issues which really troubled me. Another issue is that less boys or men are going to university as students, something we haven't picked up upon, and how this is going to affect our future economic basis. Another issue was, we mentioned the uptake of parental leave. But what was interesting was that for universities, the women, after parental leave, never returned back to the workplace. The University of Malta was surprised that there is a returning back rate of 95.5%. But in other universities, there was only one university where all the women who took parental leave returned back. So the universities are not facilitating the retention of parents. That was another issue. There's also other issues, but I'll have to scroll over this blessed thing. The contract. We looked at people who are on permanent or not permanent contract. And in a number of universities, especially UCA and UM, men surpass women on the non-permanent contract, which means that in the future they're going to be the ones who will become permanent members within the universities. So UCA and us, we need to do more to ensure that there are more females on the permanent staff. Another issue which I had with the gathering of data was that we did not have the same definition for certain things. Like, for example, I know that not permanent for us means visiting and casual lecturers who have two different intake into becoming permanent staff. So perhaps in the future, we need to clear the terminology. The average number of years to advance from one grade to another. I was surprised that a number of us didn't have this data. So we need also to invest on how to find out how many years it takes per gender to move from one category to another.
Thank you so much, Suzanne. I would just even still, though, I really appreciate those comments, and I think they're extremely useful, and we'll come back to it, to the main discussion. Still, I will push you for like the most important accomplishment within gender equality, your personal one. Like
the most important is that we have persuaded the people at the top echelons to promote gender equality and to invest in it. That is very important because you need money and personnel in order to do something which is good.
And I think that investment is very much linked to what you said, that some data are missing within our universities because nobody controls it and nobody monitors it. And why it's not monitored? Because we need people to monitor it, and that goes with the investment, isn't it? Trying to get Eva to relate to what you wanted to say. How about your mic? Is it working now, Eva? Can you try again? Just to help you, like on the top screen, you have this like, you know, videos, and you can like click it and then. No, it's not working. Okay, so let's try again. Maybe you can also use chat, and I will ask Carmen about her accomplishment that you see in action about, you know, gender equality plans or gender equality fostering action. Thank you, Eva, for trying. Carmen?
Hi. Okay, so I'm working very closely with Josanne. I mean, I try to support Josanne, and as she said, one of the issues is to get our administration, top level administration, to invest in the committee, and this is a challenge. This has been quite a challenge for us because we are a small university, probably the smallest of all. I don't know about the populations, but we have about 11,000 students. So we must be one of the smallest in this group. And obviously, one of the issues which we have encountered and which has put the equality plan on the back burner in the past couple of years has been the COVID, which has disrupted quite a lot because everyone was focusing you know, on this issue, how to reorganize the whole university to adapt to this new scenario. So now I'm hoping that we pick up where we left off, and we really need to, you know, take the bull by the horns when it comes to the equality plan. Hopefully, we will be working on this in the coming weeks, actually, because we have deadlines which we would like to meet.
Thank you so much, Carmen. I think this metaphor with the bulls and taking by its horns is a very good one when we talk about gender equality. We have lost Ivanka on the way, so we'll try to reboot Ivanka. And I know Eva is working on getting her mic back, which is brilliant. So fingers crossed, everybody. And I see Claudia, you have raising your hand. Can you keep and park your question to the Q&A sessions coming soon, or you can post your question on chat. We won't forget it. And now we'll move on to the second question, which is actually concerning our panel constitution, and one of the some of the results you mentioned in your surprises list from our gender equality report.
Okay, so now I would like you to answer the next question. And the question in the majority of meetings like that come for the very audience. So if we look to our panelists, we are all wonderful and resourceful women fostering gender equality. So the question is, why men, sorry, it's the dog, why men do not participate in such panels, in such events, in such actions? Should this be changed? Why should it be changed? Why not? Maybe you know the answers why it's so difficult. And please raise your hand who want to start, and the 2 minutes rule is still working. Okay, Carmen, could you start? You are still muted, Carmen.
Okay, now I was unable to unmute myself. I think it's really important to get men on board. I mean, research has shown that change happens much more quickly if there are men on board. And I mean, I think that this is the reason why we're taking like a bottom-up approach to our equality plan, in the sense that we have a draft now, and we are now taking it to the various committees, the equality committees, even that include disability, race and ethnicity, etc. And also we need to get all the deans on board to discuss it in their various faculty boards, so that when we have a document at the end, I know that the process might be longer, but it would be a document which is owned by everyone. And this is what we have done when it comes to strategy. When we had our discussion on a university strategy for 2020-2025, we had quite a prolonged period of consultation that included all the various stakeholders, not merely academics, but also, you know, all the other support staff and also students. And I think it's also important to bring students on board. We also always make an extra effort to bring students on board, various student organizations and student representatives on the various committees within the university structures. I believe that if we manage to have a polished plan or document, it will not remain a document, but it will then become something which is more, which is easier to implement. And yes, we need to get the men on board, and I think that throughout the years, some men are increasingly aware of this need, especially since at an undergraduate level we have more females than males, and then there's also a balance at a master's level. So somehow there's a sensitization, and the number of female academics is growing. So somehow, you know, we tend to voice our concerns, and we tend to voice our issues. I tend to, you know, there are men who do champion women's rights and gender issues, and I think that we need to bring them on board. I find that one of the most damaging aspects of all this is when you have some women who do not want to take the gender tickets because they feel it might damage their own career prospects or their image in their own various faculties, especially if it's a male-dominated area, male-dominated field. So not all the women are sympathetic to the issues that we are discussing here. Another thing that really concerns me is that we might suffer a backlash at some point while we are insisting on a plan, on an equality plan. We're living in very strange times. where European universities have removed gender from their curriculum. Some, we've heard about European universities, and only last week we heard about an academic in Wales, I believe. Was it Wales or in Surrey, who, because of her feminist perspectives, there was like a student revolt almost, asking for her to be sacked. I'm concerned with a backlash when we discuss about plans and implementing them. But those men who are champions of what we are proposing, they need to come on board, because it will make our work easier.
Yes. Okay. Thank you, Carmen, for this. You, I think, gave the broad answer to why. I think it's like international, and we know it also from studies. So let's look for also nice, good practices we have with those who jumped in. So Patricia, I saw your hand is raised. So again, I count 2 minutes, and please answer the question, both why and how to put men on board.
Why? Why men do not participate to such panel? Because I think it's a problem of valorization of these subjects and functions to the academic careers. In fact, men in general tend to look for subjects that make them feel good, and the equality subject is not a good subject to improve our academic careers, in fact. So for me, equal subject is not so well valorized at the moment. So one solution is perhaps to more valorize this subject in the careers. In fact, the question we can ask together is why men will be interested in subjects which are not valorized for them, in fact. So they don't see the interest for men. Also, men and women would find interest together to be close to the children. In fact, for example, perhaps women also needs to change their posture and their themes and stop accepting the task, all the tasks that men do not want to do, without feeling guilty. In fact, in our academics university, we can see that women sometimes take tasks that men do not want to do, because they feel guilty if these tasks are not doing. So it will be changed perhaps when men see the interest to have different relationships with their wife, with their colleagues, with their partners, with their children, and perhaps this day it will be changed, I think.
Okay, thank you very much, Patricia. I think it is really important what you have mentioned. So next person, I'm really glad you just take this question from different perspectives. Let's do like this. Let's look for different whys, and let's look for ideas and modes to get men on board. Who wanna be the next person? Okay, Ivanka, please do so. And then Eva.
Sorry, I was few minutes disconnected, but I solved this problem. Concerning these first questions about men's participation in such a panel or actions, I would say that I was really surprised a few days ago when I officially became a member of the team from university for creating a gender action plan. When I saw that the team members consist of 2 women and 2 men. And it's really a surprise for me, because it's usually that at such meetings or working groups, etc., there are very minorities of men. And also I can expect that, for instance, I'm on the Faculty of Humanities and Social Sciences. Mostly of teachers are women, but I think that we can, at our faculty, also got some men or few men who will be able or will be available for such discussion, or for some papers of some strategic documents, etc. But it is specific faculty teaching in pedagogy, sociology, philosophy, etc. And it's very different than, for instance, construction faculty, engineering, etc.
Okay, thank you very much. And let's check out if Eva Mike's is working. And please, if yes, answer the questions.
Let's see if you can hear me now.
Yeah, great. Yeah, you are back.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
That's fine. Okay. I was some minutes out, but we are talking about men or something like that. I mean, the
Yes,
question
yes,
related
I
to
can.
the presence of men.
Yeah, I can repeat the question. So, why men do not participate here with
Okay.
us, and should it be changed, or maybe how we can change it? Maybe you have certain examples, good practices to do so.
Well, I think that the explanation is evident. Normally, or usually, in our case, for instance, the quality unit is concerned with the circumstances of or the added difficulties women face usually in the university, or between the students, among the students, or even the staff. But the thing is that the persons concerned in this unit are women. In fact, we have a commission. I'm taking, because I didn't say it before, I am part of the commission of gender equality in the university, but because I represent a trade union. And one of the things that we most like of our plan is that it is elaborated in a participatory method. So we are represented 4 trade unions. We are represented also some organs of the university, the director of the unity of the equality unit, and so on. So we are about maybe 20, 16, 20, more or less. It depends on the meeting, and there is just one man. But because he's there representing a position that normally hold men in university. So the truth is that women who study these things, or people who study these things, is because we are concerned about the gender issues, or because we are concerned about the problems. But we have to recognize that very few men defend these positions, or this discourse of gender equality, at least in my university. Or even if you go to a congress, we are talking about sociology of work or labor relations and things like that. It's just women who study women issues. So that's why we are segregated normally in administration, or even in the university. We are in women issues normally. So in the sense, for some men, they take part on this commission, or they may be interested on these issues, but usually because they represent specific institutional positions. And however, we do believe that the role of men and their involvement in defense of gender equality should be strengthened, of course. They should join and identify with the feminist struggle, I think. And they should assimilate the need for equality, but just because it is a question of social justice, it is nothing else than that. And or maybe they didn't have enough time to get involved in this kind of struggle. Maybe they don't believe in all these kind of things. Even though we are aware that there are lots of the sensitization of many gender issues is wide world, we know, but the changes in society, as we know, are very, very slow. So I think we maybe give them some more time to react, because they are not very quick in this time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Eva, very much. And I see Eva and Iris still waiting for take the floor. So who gonna be first?
Yes, I can say something if I may. I think a very important point is the question really of power. And I guess from my experience, men are not so much interested in all this gender equality issue, because for them it means also to think about loss of power, because of course every high position which is given to a woman is not given to a man, and that's why they are not so much interested in usually, not all of them, but some of them. So they don't have really a reason to invest time and resources and efforts in getting the gender equality issue forward, because they are not suffering from it. So they are not so much, they think they are not so much suffering from it. What I think nonetheless is that it's really important to get them on board, because if we vision a world with a really good gender equality, it would be a better world for all of them, for all of us, also for men, also for women, for our children, and for everybody. But it's not so easy to see for everyone what it really means. And I'm not so sure whether it should be that men should be on all these panels. I agree that they should be on some of these panels, but I also think that it's very important to have some committees, panels where women really can talk openly and together and on the common ground which we have. I mean, maybe some of you also share the experience that if you have a panel with 9 women and 1 man, he will be definitely the person who has the most of the speaking time. So I think it has 2 sides, really. I think it's not so easy like it sounds now, but it's a very complicated question, actually. And we have here at Kiel University, we have a fixed quota of men who have to be in the gender equality committees of 25%. So, and I think this is a good way. It's not half, it's more women than male, but there are some, of course, then interested and engaged male colleagues which join us in the committee work, and I think this is a good step in between, let's say it like this.
Yes, thank you, Iris. Thank you very much. And we have Eva Wojkowska and then Josen Kutehar to join with the question about men.
Thank you. I fully agree with Iris that men are probably not really interested to join this kind of activities. And our experience was that when we begin work on the social responsibility of the university and also on the gender equality plan, majority of our group were women. We have a man, our rector, that was working with us, our Professor Krzysztof Bielawski, but in fact the group there were only women in the group. But after a while we decided that we have to have men on board, and we invited men, and now we have 30% of men in our implementing board for GEP. Then I think it's quite a good situation. Similar as Iris already mentioned, 30% is like more close to 25 than 50. But I believe this is very helpful, because they also are interested in establishment of this plan, and sometimes they are thinking about different things that we are thinking. Then I think it's very useful, and we will proceed with this. Also in our group that's working on the project that will modify institution by developing gender equality plan, we also have men's on board. Then I think this is also about 20% of the people involved. Then I think we have to invite them to join us. However, women join us spontaneously, I should say. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Eva. And Josanne?
I think from what we presented today, the statistics focus mostly on staff. Because if you look at student statistics, there is the argument where we can persuade more men to join gender equality committees. Male students are losing out and it's affecting the economy. For example, in Malta, we have the lowest rate of qualified people who are male. And we need to have a skilled workforce because the economy is moving into a knowledge-based economy rather than service-based or industry-based. So everybody needs to further their education. Another issue is masculinities. We have less teachers who are male, less social workers who are male, and that is an issue because this means that the kids in schools do not have good examples of males who are not violent, who know how to respect women, who value education. And so we need to attract more male students into education. The same with social work. A lot of the problems are men, but if there are no male social workers, they do not have any positive role models men can look up to or use in the process. In our experience at the same time, we make use of men because when I speak or my prorector speaks, the other men in the room don't even know what we're saying. But if the men says the same things we're saying, the others perk up. So it was very interesting that who they hear. Another issue is that we also need women's spaces. So we need men's spaces to deal with issues where male inequality is an issue and to accept also diverse masculinities, because if you have an effeminate student or an effeminate male colleague, they also have repercussions. And it is usually these males who are more responsive to gender issues because they can identify with women's issues by looking at their own vulnerability. But we also know we need women's spaces because some issues women know, but at the same time, women are not a homogeneous group because you have diverse groups of women. So even if there are women's groups, you need diverse groups of women who come and speak about their problems and see how the institution can redress their issues.
Yes, thank you, Josanne. And I think we are really coming to the fourth question because it's really related of what we have discussed. And we see one comment on the chat that jobs are related to gender stereotypes. So it is like the whole society stereotypic bias issue. And our question, which I would like also involve other members of today's meeting. So this is question to you all, and please maybe hide your hands who have raised them before, and now we start the new lineup for take a vote. So the question is for everybody, and I will read it in a second. So please jump in if you want to share the situation at your institution or your awareness about the project, because we are now conducting the qualitative study in our university, and what we do observe, and I'm one of the researchers doing the study, so we do not have published it yet, but I think it's very important issue to be raised, is that some also prominent person from academia pointed that out, that we see, and we discussed today about it, we see the increase of women studying at universities, also studying STEM, and we see less and less men. So do you observe a similar phenomenon? And how should it be tackled by gender equality plans? So I think we know that it should, because we already talked about it. But how we can do it. How I think it's the matter also of the image of scientific career of the certain disciplines. Maybe you know good practices that were arised there, and how to care in a way about men, but with their help, not to be caring women as we always do according to stereotypes, just to make and continue to be diverse environment and the society. So who gonna start the discussion? Please also join from the audience. I see so many people with such a big experience. For sure you have good comments to this question. Less and less men in our universities. We know and agree with Josanne that it will influence economy and labor and competences shared within societies. What we can do about it and what we are maybe doing and how to put it in our GEPs. Anyone?
May I point
Yes, of course.
one thing? I'm not yet too worried because it's 60-40, so there's a bit of a balance. I'm more worried in those faculties, in those areas like education, where we are hardly recruiting any men to become teachers, for instance. That is a problem because the percentage is really low and there is the so-called boy crisis there, as Josanne was saying earlier, and we have been pinpointing that. Actually, in my role as pro-rector, at one point, I got together all the deans of the faculties that have this massive gender disparity. Both the areas of education, where very few were being recruited, very few men were being recruited to become teachers or educators, but then also engineering, etc., where very few women were being recruited. And we got together to try to understand why this was a problem, because the first question which people in those faculties were asking, especially in engineering, for instance, the dean told me, but why is it a problem? It's not I mean, why should we bother that there aren't too many women engineers, and why? We tried to tackle this, and this was before COVID took over our lives, right? We came in touch with universities that had already experienced to try to address this issue, to try to share good practice. So we had a meeting with Technological University in Ireland, for instance, where the disparity had been addressed, and there were more women recruits in engineering. I'm not sure what is happening to address the boy crisis. I mean, each time I raised it in a number of fora, some of them even at a national level in the presence of our education minister on one occasion. Initially, people they made fun of me because they could not see, there isn't even the awareness about the repercussions this would have on society at large. So starting from awareness, the level of awareness, I think, might be the first step. But then, I don't know, I'd like to hear what other universities have been doing to address this, because it is a concern.
Okay, thank you, Carmen. And Eva Bermudez, I think you are next.
Okay. It's related to what Carmen has said about the enrollment, the students in education, and the feminization of the students, of the degrees on education, or health. Well, not health, because it is something is medicine and something different is nurturing. So we have to make differences. We cannot talk about all the data together. But anyway, in our case, in our university in Cádiz, we have the same decreasing data of men enrolling in university, but it has been exactly the same proportion since I have the data since 2012. Okay, so it is not a tendency, a trend from this year or last year. So this is a long time coming. In this sense, together with what Josanne said about of men in female-dominated professions, we have a problem because we have been concerned in the unit of equality, and the university has its own strategies to make awareness in the secondary studies. I mean, in the another stages of before university, and they try to balance, well, not to balance, but to try to balance and to try to make girls go to STEM degrees, and on the contrary. But the problem is that I think that we women are inserting traditionally male professions, but men are not inserting in the traditional female professions, because they have a very negative charge, and it's a very undervaluated, socially undervaluated professions. So it's again a question of power and prestige and status. So I don't know, but we have lots of fronts to struggle, I think, because this is again a question of education, co-education. But it's hard. But we have the same percentage from 10 years ago, so it is not something of today. I just wanted to say that I don't know which the explanation you will give it in your universities, but in our case, we are in the south of Spain. I don't know if you know about the unemployment data in Spain. They are terrible. And in the south of Spain, Andalusia, where we are, it's even worse, because we have maybe 25% of people unemployed here in Andalusia, for instance, for you to make an idea. So in this point, it is normal, because the problem is not the unemployment. The problem is the unemployment of people with degrees or with master's degree. And that's a real problem. So I think it's we could respond to a normal trend that young generations see they have no choice with employment, and they make their counts. I don't know how to say that in English, and they know that they even with a degree, they are not going to be easily inserted in the labor market. So they prefer to study professional studies and not university studies. So maybe there's some explanation, at least here. I don't know if it's useful for you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. But I think it is really important to just look into the generational problems, like you said, this occupation, for example, and unemployment. But in Poland, we are around 0, so we do not have this problem. And similar data, yes, we have a lot of young Spanish people coming also to just stay a while at work. This is kind of new phenomenon we see. But anyway, we do see Spanish students in educational and pedagogy Erasmus visits, and it's like they are the only men at our university in this department. So for sure you have more men, maybe because this this employment seems to be more secure. So maybe the social changes can be used by thinking about like the biases that the good work means the work that is needed, not if it's male or female. So the gendered professions, as there was one comment on the chat, I think it's like really challenging, but a really good idea. Anyone else to join? Please raise your hand.
I think Jazan is, this is like a fresh hand or an old hand from Jazan.
I can say something. We need also to be smart. If we attract more male students to education, social work, when you see more men coming into feminized occupations, usually you see the working conditions and pay going up. When women enter a masculinized occupation, you see the pay and the working conditions going down. So if we're smart, we need to reach an equitable level in all occupations, so that, I'm dreaming at the moment, women won't be penalized for being women in the labor market. So I think we need to do a little bit of research. Oh, okay, I have my cat near me. We need to do our research to ensure that more men become part of this conversation, because they also have to lose if they do not become part of this conversation, especially men who have caring responsibilities. And they try to access these caring responsibilities, and institutions say, excuse me, these are women's issues. In reality, they are not women's issues, they're everybody's issues.
Thank you, Joseanne. Anyone else to comment? And please feel invited to speak also from the audience, but first, Patricia.
Thank you. I think we could do something to involve more men, in fact, at the university, and more men, perhaps, and women in some diplomas where they are not in majority. First, I think we have to work on stereotype and models with students. That is very important, I think, to me. Second, perhaps we could more accompany men who want to go into health degrees, or women who want to move toward engineer or technical degrees, because perhaps some men and women don't have any accompaniment to go into these degrees, and they don't choose to go, but perhaps some of them want to. And I think this poses another point, is an economical problem, because industries encounter problems to recruit, for example, informatics, computer science person, and so perhaps for men, they could change if they understand that it's a chance for us, for everybody, for them and for everybody, if we could involve more women in perhaps in computer science degrees, because industries, economy have to recruit more and more persons. So this is my three reflection points to more to change that point. I see one point what is surprised me in the report, because women are in the majority of all the students in bachelor and master level, and it's not true for PhD level. There are more men in PhD level in my university, and I don't see that. So for me, it was very surprising. So I have to think about that.
Okay, thank you, Patricia. And we have one question from the chat. What actions would you suggest, what we could suggest, to increase the number of women in leadership and decision-making positions? It's like to all panelists, so who want to start? We can say what we do have in gender equality plans or proposals for the plans. Just give a help.
Yeah, a couple of ideas are on the chat. So Iris suggested quotas. Also, there is this suggestion from our experience of personal lobbying. So actually lobbying women that, we will support them and they will take the leading role, and then mentoring from women to women who had those. And then there was a suggestion from Leandra, we could do something on CU level. I think it's a brilliant idea. We have we had this booklet with our different gender initiatives. I will put a link in a second, but then I think we need more, because it's been like 2 years already, and now we have other important ideas how to do it. But any other suggestions from our expert panel or the public? How to increase women in leadership?
Okay, Iris, please do take a floor.
Yeah, thank you very much. In Germany, we made the experience that the most efficient way of increasing women in leadership position and something like that in science is really money. And we here have now very many of our very large research funding organizations which require a certain amount of gender equality and which require a certain level of gender equality. For example, on the PI level, if you apply for a research project in the German Science Foundation, for example, and also if you apply for EU money, you also need to show a certain gender balance in the leading committees or whatever PI level. So this is very effective. If you have, for example, a group of engineers and technicians, they want to make a big project and there are no females in the leading committees, they will not be funded anymore in Germany. So this is the way. And I'm sorry, but I'm quite I'm very long in this business, and so this is why I also wrote quotas work, and it has to be very strict and very yes, like that. Otherwise,
Top down.
it has to be top down, and all the awareness and thing is of course right and not wrong, but it takes much too long time really to proceed. And we have made very good experiences with money and top down power, and that would be my advice. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Iris. I think it's really important to hear it like straightforward said, because sometimes it's maybe stereotypically also like the female style not to talk much about money. Of course, it's cultural differences, but yes, we need to talk about it and ask how many hours we spend on working and how they are paid. So thank you for this voice. Anyone else? Maybe other questions or comments or answers to the question from chat, or coming back to man-women proportion? Anyone? We have still a lot of time, so any comment is welcome. Josanne?
At the University of Kingston, they changed the criteria to include caring work that women do at university, like one-to-ones with students and community work, which a lot of women do more than men. We have also introduced community work as a criteria for promotion in Malta, but we still need to operationalize it. Perhaps the unions can help us with this, since there's a union representative.
Okay, thanks, Josanne. Anyone else? I see Iris and Eva hands, and Eva Wojkowska hand. I think this is the, as you call it, fresh one. Eva, please do join.
Yes, and I don't know, well, I'm not sure, but I think what she said about quotas, I think that it's working, of course. Do you hear me? Yes.
Yes, we hear you.
Okay. But I think, and also money, of course, money is very important. But I think that at least from here, the most important thing, or the main reason for women to withdraw or to renounce a position is the implication with the familiar tasks and the children and everything. So I think a good policy on balancing family and work life, it's absolutely needed, because even here in Spain we have from more than 10 years ago, 20 years ago almost, and we have the legislation, but it not even in the university or even other administrations is accomplished. Okay, so we have the law and we do not do it. For instance, we said before about the parental leaves. We are now in Spain, we have now this brand new parental leave for men. They have the same amount of months for like fathers, which is very little anyway, but it is what it is. And here in the university, during this year, just one man have taken this kind of leave. And we do not have disaggregated the data in the public system of information. We do not have the data because we have the amount of men who have taken a leave, but it doesn't say how many days. It says that a total amount of days enjoyed by, I don't know, I think there were 15 fathers, more or less, okay? But even with the legislation in your hand, they don't do it. So it's
similar. Yes, thank you, Eva. Similar situation in Poland, different little bit law, but also not used by men. And just to shortly going to the end, I noticed the other Eva also wanted to comment, so let it be the last one before we close the meeting.
Okay, I just would like to mention that we also need a dedicated training for the women to be a leader, to be in a leadership. That a lot of women really need this kind of training. They are not ready to take these duties yet.
Or at least they need kind of encouragement that might be a part of this meeting. Yeah. Yeah, thank you for this comment. I find it also very important. And what we see, there is this need, at least our qualitative data said that there is a need to just, as we saw, women want to train their competences, so they want to be, if leaders, just prepared ones. So from my side, thank you for answering this questions about men and in our universities, and I'm really glad I heard what you are proud of. I think it's also important for us to know what are we proud of and what we are like the masters and the parents of. So congratulations to all of us. It was really nice to have met you, and I hope it's like the first time in this committee and with audience and not the last one. So thank you also for the CEU project for inviting me, and I just pass the word to Natasha.
Thank you all for joining us. I probably, you have the same as me. So finishing it with we could have chatted more, we could have done more, and we will. So I announced it at meeting number 1, and it will continue because we are progressing, we are having new experiences, and we have questions to each other as well as panelists. So we will be in touch. We can consider this as a mailing list that we can use, and we'll of course collect all the important points and links, so we will share it with everybody. This is also recorded, so we can have a look at it again. We need inspiration, so looking forward to seeing you again more soon. And let me finish it with saying to be continued. Thank you all for your wonderful time and comments and amazing insight. I'm very proud to be part of this group, and I'm also happy seeing so many friends and colleagues around here. So join us and let's work together, because the more of us, the better for for this good cause. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Natasha.
Thank you to you. Very interesting. Let's keep in touch.
Thank you. Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.